Well, the president and energy czar John Kerry making some bold claims about a new climate deal with China. But are the Chinese laughing all the way home as they continue building hundreds of dirty coal plants while making billions sending us batteries and solar panels as our energy production at home gets weaker and weaker? Joining us now is North Dakota Senator Kevin Cramer, member of the Senate Armed Services Committee. Senator, I don't know about you, but when I see John Kerry sitting 2 seats away from the president, I get a little nervous in an important meeting. But what do you make of what you've seen of this China deal, particularly the climate portion?
Yeah, well, I wish I was surprised, David, but I'm not surprised, but I am disgusted by it. Because, and to your point about John Kerry, I think that's exactly the problem. If you're leaning on John Kerry for counsel, it doesn't matter, how tough you are or how bright you might think you are. John Kerry has been on a mission to transfer his, climate guilt and environmental guilt to polluting countries for a couple of decades now. And so that's really all that's happening here. Once again, we get rolled by dictators, despots, and terrorists, while our president runs around the country pretending he's some sort of geopolitical expert. And all he does is he just caves to them and they roll over us. It's disgusting.
And we're essentially, we meaning taxpayers, are essentially subsidizing the Chinese right now because we are subsidizing a lot of these green energy programs that require batteries from China, that require solar panels from China. They produce 80%. They have an 80% share in all the materials that go into solar panels. 75% of all lithium-ion batteries come from China. So again, this is kind of a subsidy to China, right?
It's very much a subsidy for China while they pollute the world. And so we're going to feel better about ourselves by having more electric vehicles and have battery charged or battery run cars, solar panels, all of which are made by very, very filthy operations in China, making us further dependent on an enemy, another critical supply chain that we've acquiesced to our adversary. By the way, then this deal that they're bragging about, it has no teeth. It's unbinding in every way. And even if it was binding, David, as we know, the Chinese Communist Party does not keep up their end of the bargain. So there is no deal with them that's good. And by the way, we should also just stop beating up on ourselves. The United States has reduced greenhouse gas emissions more in the last decade than the next 8 reducing countries combined.
Absolutely.
We are literally now less than a third of the emissions, have less than a third of the emissions of China, the #1 emitter. What makes us think they're somehow going to clean up just because we're willing to? It'd be like Israel asking Hamas for a ceasefire. Israel lays down its arms and then expects Hamas to do the same thing. It doesn't happen.
Yeah. Well, and of course, as we look at the polluters there and see China at the bottom there with the most pollution, the main reason we have cleaned up our act so much in the past 20 years is because of natural gas, which this administration is essentially trying to kill.
That's exactly right. And natural gas can be one of the greatest tools of peace and geopolitical rebalancing of power than anything, as much, if not more, even than weapons of war. We ought to be utilizing natural gas to both bring down emissions, but grow the American economy, make the world safer. And just as an example, American natural gas shipped to Europe in liquefied form, it reduces 50% fewer greenhouse gases than Vladimir Putin's natural gas shipped in a pipeline in Europe. And so there are just all kinds of reasons why we should be doing exactly the opposite of this administration.
And while we know that China's not going to be honoring their commitments, I'm kind of worried that we will honor our commitments because they involve a lot more money. This is one of the agreements that John Kerry worked out with the Chinese, 5 large-scale carbon capture projects that could cost tens or hundreds of billions of dollars in the United States. And then earlier in the week, we got this announcement from Joe Biden. Today, I am announcing $6 billion in new investments from the Inflation Reduction Act and the bipartisan infrastructure law to make communities more resilient to climate change. Do you have any idea what that means?
The only thing I can think of that it might mean is more seawalls or something, along the sea coast or the oceans, maybe hardening some infrastructure. And I'm not necessarily against all of that sort of thing, as long as it has a real purpose. It really does, in fact, make our infrastructure stronger and better and safer. Yeah. But the idea that we're going to do that and that somehow will result in a climate reduction or climate change reduction.
Well, it's not going to. One thing, Senator, you and I know, it's not going to involve an inflation reduction, which was the name of the act that it came under. Speaking of oil, by the way, I want to focus on Iran's now getting another $10 billion in sanctions waivers. A gentleman named Matt Miller from the State Department, he's the assistant spokesman for state, spoke about that earlier. Roll tape.
There is no country in the world where we deny access to food and medicine and where our sanctions target food and medicine and other humanitarian goods to the people. That's true with respect to Russia. It's true with respect to Iran.
Senator, I remember a deal called oil for food back in the days of we were fighting Saddam Hussein in Iraq. It was a terrible mess. It was founded by the United Nations or under their auspices. It worked out terribly. It sounds a lot like that.
Well, it's interesting because Iraq is a major energy producing country of its own. It should not be dependent on Iran for electricity. So let's start there. Let's start with the fact that we have this ally in Iraq that has all of this oil and natural gas, and shouldn't they be using that for their own purposes rather than continuing to be And so I think we're facilitating a lot of bad behavior here, David. I don't want Iraq to not have electricity, but I'd like them to produce their own rather than be dependent on Iran. We have big problems, and these dictators, despots, and terrorists again are making us look foolish, and which seems to be fairly easy for them.
And we're
these
giving
days.
a lot of taxpayer. We're giving gifts to our enemies, to China and Iran. I mean, just stop doing that. It doesn't make any sense. Taxpayers certainly don't appreciate it.
At least we have a welcome mat out at the southern border for all of them to come into the United States.
Thank you for that. Senator Cramer, great to see you as always. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Have a wonderful
Always
Thanksgiving.
my pleasure. Thanks, David.